lady named Gaia Kirk, who used to live in Boulder, Colorado. She had a big old crush on Mowgli and a big old crush on my older brother Eric. Very popular.
Give me a second, I'll be right back.
I'm so happy, 'cause today I found my friends in my head. I'm so oh, I got almost no voice. Morning, Miss Mom. Me too, but don't tell anybody. So there's a bunch of stuff I gotta sit down and write down and get worked out, and well, I can't function. When I'm in public, I have to do what's called masking or normalizing, which means I have to pretend I'm not autistic and I have to pretend I don't have Tourette syndrome, which means I have to try really hard to control both and hide both. And that's not always easy. A lot of people assume that because a lot of times people who are autistic may not necessarily express their emotions as much when they speak. The reason is that we know how you react if we have emotion in our voice. We're treated as if we're wrong for having emotions. But then you tell us it's okay for us to have emotions, and we show a little bit of emotions, and you immediately spank us for it. Kenneth Wilson and Leah Plunkett in Colorado. They were very abusive to Leah's son, Gabriel. He has Asperger's just like me. He's an adult now, but they used to antagonize the living crap out of him. Now, Leah, her daughter had been ran over a year before and killed. And Ken, he had some children of his own with Nina, I believe, and they were all sent to New Jersey to live with her because they couldn't mentally handle stepping over the stain that used to be their sister on their way to the bus stop to go to school. That'd freak just about anybody out. Now, Gabriel, on the other hand, he wasn't Ken's, so he was stuck there. This is his only sibling, and she got squished. So for him, he didn't have anyone that he connected with. He did try to connect with me, but his mom and Ken were pretty mean to him, and so he didn't really like me. The reason he came up to me and talked to me is because if he asked me a question, I'd answer it. I wouldn't treat him like he's an annoyance for asking me a question. I wouldn't treat him like, well, they often told him when he had a social issue that he was trying to understand, watching TV or things like that. When he didn't understand something he'd ask, they'd tell him to figure it out for himself. Well, they don't let him have a social life. See, Leah, she didn't want her producing, and she had this whole master plan about how to have his equipment sterilized so that he couldn't reproduce. And she was talking about this, with me in the house to me because I'm autistic. And she thought that's what should happen to our people. And I never understood that. When I went to Ken and Leah's, Ken had actually asked me to move there because he thought it would be good for Leah. For Leah's a plum kid. And it was. The problem is that she didn't understand my disabilities at all, no matter how much I tried to explain to her. And as soon as Ken would leave, she would have a project that she absolutely had to have done, and it would take all day. And if I said, no, I have to recover from what you had me do yesterday, Ken would come home and he'd say, Sean, I did tell you, $75 a month. And, I thought that was a good idea. But, here's the thing. You also said that you would help Letha when she needed something. And she says you're not helping around the house. Like I literally just spent all day yesterday moving the planters. She wanted to complain that I was doing it too slow. She was wanting to complain that I was using a lever. The thing is that I can't physically pick up those pots like you can. It's not an insult. It does take time. There's also like the geodesic home that she wanted built, and the thing is, I've built one before. Ken had never built one before, and Leah wanted to be the pocket boss. How can you be the boss if you don't know what's going on? And this is a big problem. Ken's gonna do it Leah wants, and even if that includes bullying somebody or stealing from them, even if it's a friend. Down there, I was paying $75 for the rent, and then $100 for part of the electricity, and I was also paying for the internet. And I wasn't paying for it in my name; it was already in their name. So I was just paying to make sure it didn't get turned off, basically. Now, while I was there, I explained to Ken and Leah that, there's supposed to be services along the Front Range for autistic people. And that's the only reason that I was staying there, is so that I could get these services. They knew that Nicole Gerald had been in contact with me while I was there, and that I was trying to get an advocate there. And that's where I was able to get that guy Jeff Ritter, and that was through Nicole Gerald. But through all of that, it was a very abusive environment for Gabriel. Gabriel was afraid of the entire situation. I did tell Ken and Leah not that I had any problems with Gabriel. I explained that to him. I was like, you know what? I like Gabriel. I have absolutely no problem with him. The things that he's talking about, I actually understand his point of view, and I totally get it. But also, he's not 18, and what's my rule? And of course, they both chimed in, if you're not 18, you're 12. That's right, I don't hang out with 12-year-olds. If you're not an adult, you need to go away. Now, Miss Jerry knows that rule. You know what? If you went up to Tyler Frericks or Jennifer Frericks or any of them youngins that I was a jerk to, and you ask them Sean's rule, they'll tell you you say, if you're not 18, and they'll finish by saying you're 12. Go away. That doesn't have anything to do with what's legal and what isn't legal. That comes down to human perception and assumption, especially when we've got the news cramming all of this horrible legal stuff at us every day. We've also got them unabashedly destroying innocent people's lives with no apologies. We've got the courts doing the same thing, and the police doing the same thing, and the public doing the same thing, when the people are doing it to us, the homeless. You care. You care in conflict. You care that they're fed. You care to sometimes speak up in general. Yeah, it sucks that that's happening to these people. But, here's the thing about the homeless population accounting for 60% of those killed by police last year. The homeless. In order for the homeless to have a million man march, we would need over 400,000 people who are not homeless to march with us. Our population is that small. Yet, what percent of the incarcerated population do we represent? And if you look at that number, you realize that there are 4 times as many homeless people incarcerated in some places on the lenient side. In most places, on average here in the United States, 81% of the incarcerated were homeless when they were arrested. Being homeless is a death sentence in and of itself, being as there's laws that prevent you from having blankets or sleeping at night. And then you want us to go out and get a job. You want us to be able to make all these calls during the day. We can't function. Places like Boulder, it's a hobo trap. When somebody is there and they end up homeless and they go to the services will cost you so much money just running around to the services to go to appointments that you have to go to get the services, that literally you're spending 4 to 5 times as much going to services and jumping through the hoops for services as the monetary value of the services they're actually getting. Then you're stuck in that area with your money all going down the tubes. You get one homeless ticket. There's one night that you couldn't make it to the bathroom. It was 6 miles away. There's one night that you were too sick to actually walk to the warming center, and you weren't able to make any money that day because you didn't go panhandle and you're screwed. You break your leg there, that can be a death sentence. You guys have a lot of good ideas for people out on the streets, but your ideas are based on how you are treated by the public. Number one, that is number one, how you are treated by the public. And obviously, if you haven't had the horrible experiences that others have, that's a good thing for you, but that doesn't invalidate their experience. Just because you've never been in a fight doesn't mean that people don't get into fights. Just because nobody ever tried to beat you up for the color of your skin doesn't mean nobody's ever been beaten up for the color of their skin. Just because you've never been punched in the face doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. And just because you don't feel it when somebody else is punched in the face doesn't mean that it wasn't real. Does that make sense? Probably not. Alright, I suppose I should plug in my phone before it dies. Otherwise, my YouTube channel is going to shut off and you guys are going to be stuck looking at a black screen for like 20 minutes. Obviously, I'm overwhelmed, and when I explain a safe environment to people, there seem to be a lot of folks who believe that an abusive environment is a safe place. It's not. A lot of people who, good intentions, whatever, but almost all of you have gotten help from one of those situations or peoples where they're just unabashedly assholes to each other loudly all day. And I hate to use the word toxic, alright, but they're good intentions versus the toxicity of the environment. You literally can't function because you're afraid of the environment. You can't make the phone calls that you need to make until those people stop screaming at each other over stupid stuff. When you've got somebody who's autistic and somebody who's got post-traumatic stress disorder, especially combined, that's a very scary situation for them. And the moment you start, the moment they start talking down to you or down at
She
you,
gives you those looks. She's just kidding. She loves it.
this can't be William Wallace. I'm prettier than this man.
Say that again.
I says, this can't be William Wallace. I'm prettier than this man.
Did you speak Roman? What way?
No, that was from Braveheart, but because my voice is
Okay, so say it again. Say it again slowly.
that can't be William Wallace. I'm
Oh,
prettier
yeah.
than this man.
That's Jen's for you, William Morris. God, that was a good movie. That was a really good movie.
Right? Yeah, that was like the only movie I was allowed to
At
watch.
the very end when he just yells out.
And then the thing drops.
Yeah.
All in slow motion too.
And this one is if you want them to take away more than one than two. Okay, so you just gonna look at how it is and you're just gonna
There rain in my keyboard, so I'm trying to make sure I get underneath the keys. I got rain in them.
You didn't carry that open, did you?
No.
You should get a plastic sack or something, or Safeway or something, and always carry, because they can. I've ruined keyboards from in a food bank getting water on it, and they do ruin these. Always, especially rain. Carry them in plastic bags.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was doing, but then it started to pour up because I put it in my backpack. And then
It got wet.
yeah, but if I put my backpack over the top of it and it's holding the plastic bag, it ends up tearing open the plastic bag anyway.
Yeah.
And or I have to, clasp it. And as soon as I clasp it, the first thing it does is rip the bag. But I do have a couple of them. Oh, the ones from Safeway are thick enough. That's actually why I went to Safeway and got a couple of bags there. I just didn't bring it over or didn't put them on it.
Well, I got a ton at home. If you need some more, I'll bring them.
Absolutely, I can use them.
I will. I'll bring them and hold them here for you.
That might look weird.
Yeah.
They got keyboard cleaner, but it's like $14 a thing. Business cards, the corner of frayed ones are really good for soaking stuff up. Das römische Fall.
Normally, like, I let people use the same one when I know their neighbors. You know what I'm saying? I'm never gonna get someone who has that to cover for you, because, I don't wanna be on that situation, but I normally, we really do the math. But like I say, you say, well,
Römische Soldaten auf Patrouillenfahrt am Rhein, an der Grenze zum freien Germanien. Immer wieder fallen von dort Germanen in die von Rom besetzten Gebiete ein. Die Römer müssen auf der Hut sein. Keine großen Mauern bilden eine natürliche Grenze. Die Menschen bauten vorgeschoben mitten im heutigen Deutschland, weil zusätzlich die 55 Kilometer lange Befestigungsanlage des Mauern und Kriegsschiffe ernähren sich an eines der größten Reiche der Weltgeschichte. Die Römer ihre nasse Grenze mit Boden abgeschützt. Im pfälzischen Germersheim wagt man dazu ein aufwendiges Schiffsbauexperiment. Ein Jahr lang werden Planken angepasst und wie die Römer wollen sie die Kriegsschiffe bauen mit den alten Techniken. Eine Herausforderung, denn die Kriegsbauer der Antike haben keine Baupläne. Augenmaß und Fingerspitzengefühl sind gefragt, wenn das Schiff einmal schwimmen soll. Doch das Ziel ist noch höher gestiegen. Generell Leistungsfähigkeit des Grenzbetreibungssystems. Tausende in Pech getränkte Säge, alle in Handarbeit geschmiedet, halten das Tagesliga, das spielerische Schiff, zusammen. Die Eichenplanken sind auf Stoß gearbeitet, das heißt, Planke an Planke ohne Überlappen. Das erfordert höchste Präzision, wenn die Bauern nicht sind. Das 18 Meter lange, 2,70 Meter breite Römerschiff ist eine exakte wissenschaftliche Rekonstruktion. Maße und Form des Tagesliga liefern ausgegrabene römische Schiffspresse. Aus den gewonnenen Wrackteilen erarbeitet ein Expertengremium die Baupläne. Archäologen, Historiker und Kunstbauern entschlüsseln gemeinsam die Geheimnisse der römischen Marine auf Rhein und Donau. Es ist wie ein Puzzle, eine große Herausforderung, eine Zeitreise. So oder so ähnlich wird sie ausgesehen haben, die Schifffahrt der Römer in Germanien. Kriegsschiffe und Frachtkähne befuhren die ungebändigten Flüsse in einer weitgehend gelben Landschaft. Zurück zum Experiment. Der Stamm für den 9 Meter hohen Mast wird angeliefert und vor Ort zugesehen. Die Römer brauchen dazu viel Muskelkraft und Augenmaß, um am Ende aktiv genannt exakt ausgerichtete Masten. Der Respekt für die Kollegen wächst in Germersheim mit jedem Arbeitstag. Auf Werfen der Römer wurden die schlanken und flachen Boote in Massen hergestellt. Es galt ja, eine lange Grenze zu verteidigen. Bei günstigen Winden konnte eine A-Segel gesetzt werden, die Ruderer zu entlasten oder die Geschwindigkeit zu erhöhen. Schnelligkeit war ein entscheidender Faktor bei der Grenzkontrolle. Die Flüsse Germaniens waren schwierige Gewässer. Keiner wusste, wie Wasserstraßen führen. Gerrit Wagner, der Teamleiter des Experiments, ist auf dem großen Strom unterwegs, um am Rheinufer die alten Landestellen der Römer zu suchen. An Land waren ja Boote verwundbar, konnten leicht überfallen und zerstört werden. Deshalb bauten sie befestigte Häfen. Treffen. Grund. Nur wenige 100 Meter vom heutigen Flusslauf entfernt. Die Pizza-Ruhe sind deutlich zu erkennen. Sie standen einst ganz nah am Rhein und beschützten das teure Kriegsgerät der Römer. Hinter dicken Mauern gingen die Legionäre an Land. Und so sah ihr Land Bogens aus. Ein großes Haus, das Truppen und Material beherbergt. Mit Mauern und Wachtürmen ist die Anlegestelle gegen feindliche Überraschungsangriffe gut geschützt. Auch die großen Legionslager der Römer Straßburg, Mainz oder Köln lagen am großen Strom. Die Schiffe versorgten diese Außenposten des Imperiums regelmäßig mit Nahrung. Die römische Armee war eine perfekt organisierte Kriegsmaschinerie. Ihre Überlegenheit gewährleistete lange Phasen des Friedens. Pax Romana, das bedeutete sichere Grenzen und inneren Frieden, aufgebaut auf den Schilden und Schwertern der Soldaten. Wenn du Frieden willst, bereite dich zum Krieg, war ein Leitspruch der Römer. Die Legionslager waren überall im Imperium immer gut. Bis zu 6000 Mann lebten hier und die mussten versorgt werden. Ein schneller Transport großer Warenmengen war am besten auf den Füßen möglich und geschützt für die schnellen Patrouillen. Münzen werden unter den Mastfuß gelegt. Sie sollen dem Schiff und seiner Mannschaft Glück bringen. Eine Tradition, die schon die Römer kannten und die auch die Schiffsbauer in Germersheim gern übernehmen. Denn ein entscheidender Tag für das Experiment ist gekommen. Das Einsetzen der letzten Planken. Der sogenannte Totgang, die letzte Offenstellung, wird dicht gemacht. Jetzt muss alles passen. Perfekt. Die Bootsbauer haben ganze Arbeit. Die letzten Nägel werden in die Eichenplatten eingeschlagen und mit Wollfäden abgedichtet. Genauso muss die Römer bleiben. Die Männer um Gerrit Wagner erfahren jeden Tag aufs Neue, mit welchem Know-how ihre Vorgänger vor über 1700 Jahren zu Werke gegangen sind. Man kriegt ein gutes Gefühl von den Respekt vor den Fähigkeiten der Römer damals, denn wir arbeiten über die mit Präzisionswerkzeugen. Aber wie die Römer das damals mit Druckwerkzeugen geschafft haben, da entwickelt sich schon ein Werkzeug. Kraftwerk, wie die das damals gemacht haben mit Handwerkzeugen. Einfacher als für diese. Die Flüsse Rhein und Donau waren neben ihrer Funktion als Grenze wichtige Transport- und Handelswege. Ergänzt durch ein perfekt ausgebautes Fernstraßennetz im Hinterland Ost-West waren dies die Lebensadern des Imperiums. Sie verbanden alle Provinzen mit Rom. Auf den Straßen konnten mit bis dahin nicht gekannter Geschwindigkeit und Zuverlässigkeit Menschen, Waren und Nachrichten transportiert werden. Regelmäßig postierte Meilensteine dienten zur Orientierung und dem Weitertransportnetz. Die Straßen erschlossen die römische Welt.
Alright, so what I'm gonna do, dear YouTube, is I'm this right now because it seems like some people are wanting to do something that needs to be private. Thank y'all for joining me on my adventure this morning and listening to a show about German boats. You know how we end these videos. Good to be with you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and your sister's, and no victim left behind.